So, this is topical because the government has just decided to allocate about 320 million, I think is the amount, to their free school programme, which will involve grammar schools. The UK has basically two sections of education, like two categories, and that's private, which you pay for, and state, which you don't. Like, within state schools, you then get other categories. I'm not even going to go into primary schools because that's a whole other kettle of fish. But with secondary schools, you get normal state schools, which are funded by the local authority, and then you get academies and free schools, which are funded by the central government, and they don't have to follow the national curriculum. That's like a very simplified version of how it all works. And then you have grammar schools, which are selective, and in my mind, they've always appeared as really old-fashioned because I've never even heard of grammar schools existing in my lifetime, but now they're being brought back for no discernible reason. So by selective, I mean that you have to pass an exam to get in, the 11+, and if you fail that exam, you're not in. Forget it, grammar school is not for you. The argument for grammar schools is that they increase social mobility and they improve the standards of education across all of the schools in the local area, but that's never actually been proven. And honestly, I think that it's overly harsh and pretty reductive to test an 11-year-old kid and basically decide at that point whether they're going to receive a first or second class education from that point onwards. Anyway, current issues aside, I'm here to talk about the myth of private schools, as the title said. So my family has always had a mix of private and state education. Like, my dad has been state educated the whole way through and both of his parents were teachers, and my mum has been private educated all of the way through because her parents were in the army and lived abroad for, most of her childhood. So she and my aunt were sent to private boarding schools to give them a sense of stability. And then with us, Jess has always gone to state schools, the local state school, and then Midge and I both started at state secondary schools and then moved to Chiltern Cantlow, which was our local private school. It's now closed down. And that was because I was being bullied and because I think she was struggling a bit at school and my mum thought that the smaller class sizes would really benefit her. And at work recently at Bath Spa, I've been going to the websites of literally hundreds of schools, mostly primary, but a lot of secondary as well. And I've been sending the links for the fancy private schools to Jess because she eats that shit up. I'm gonna link below the video where we talk about the Tabitha story because that is always a laugh. But Jess has always been obsessed with with private boarding schools, and it's kind of ironic that she's the only one of us who never actually got to go to one of them. But if there's a promotional video or a fancy prospectus, she's there. And because I've been going to a lot of these websites, I've been idly watching a few of these promotional videos as well, and damn, they are impressive. I mean, private schools have to sell themselves in a way that other schools don't. So these are basically advertisements that are playing on your emotions kind of thing. But they all put across this really distinctive pitch. So the private school that I went to, Chiltern, was at the very bottom of the private school ladder. We didn't have interactive whiteboards. Everything was really shabby. The first tutor room that I had there was in a porta cabin that never actually got replaced. The girls' boarding facilities were way overcrowded and much nastier than the boys' boarding facilities. But I picked Chiltern over two other local private schools. I think they were Bruton and Lewiston, mostly because it was a little bit shabbier and felt more familiar to me and less intimidating. But these videos that I've been watching are from really fancy private schools. I'm talking they have their own abbey, they have their own manor house, they have extensive grounds, they do sports like polo, and these videos are so effective. It's really, really startling and kind of scary. Even for me, who has been to a private school and who knows that in reality it's not gonna be like that. If you're boarding, for instance, you're never getting away from your bullies if you're being bullied. I don't know if any of you have ever read the St. Clair's books by Enid Blyton, but I read a few of them as a kid and it was that kind of Harry Potter sort of thing. Everyone's going to be with their friends and having a great time and being academically successful and being really sporty and just, having the time of your life. And like I said, rationally, I know that there are all of these downsides, but at the same time, I watch these videos and I'm like, damn, private school looks incredible. God, I wish I could go there. I want to live in a boarding house and have friends and have there be a matron and go to a fancy library every day. I want that. And I know I'm not alone in that. I know that there are a fair number of non-British people who watch these videos, and I wanted to ask what that sort of thing is like from an outside perspective and whether you have anything like that in your country of origin. Because one of the UK's like big overarching issues is class. Private and state split in education really matters and is really deeply linked to that. So yeah, tell me your thoughts. I'm interested to hear. And I will see you next time. Bye!